Imagine waking up convinced that a small, innocuous pill is your daily safeguard against aging, fatigue, and the slow creep of cardiovascular disease. Imagine, too, that this habit, cultivated with the best of intentions, after years of magazine headlines and well-meaning advice, becomes the very thing that puts your heart at risk. That is where our story begins. On a brisk autumn morning, a woman called Maria walked into a routine clinic appointment. She was 62, careful with her diet, dutiful with her checkups, and for the last 5 years, she had taken the same supplement every night because a friend told her it protected the heart. She believed she was investing in longevity. What she did not know was that a line of evidence, accumulating quietly across laboratories and clinical trials, had begun to show a worrying pattern. When certain nutrients are taken in the wrong form, at the wrong dose, or without medical oversight, they can do more harm than good. By the time Maria's cardiologist reviewed her medication list and the tests he ordered, the look on his face changed from professional concern to genuine surprise. The shock did not come from a missing prescription or an undiagnosed disease. It came from a simple discovery. An over-the-counter supplement, assumed by millions to be benign, was present at doses and in combinations that could plausibly increase the risk of an acute cardiac event. This is not an isolated drama framed only for television. It is a real, avoidable risk that affects people across the age spectrum we are addressing today, adults between 35 and 70, many of whom maintain a regimen of vitamins and minerals with the sincerest motives. The difference between benefit and harm often lies in the details. The molecular behavior of a nutrient in the bloodstream, its interaction with prescription drugs, the subtle changes it provokes in blood chemistry, or the way the body of a 50-year-old metabolizes substances differently than the body of a 20-year-old. Medicine is precise about these differences because the consequences are not abstract. They are the pulse in your wrist, the breath you take climbing a flight of stairs, the small chest pain you might dismiss as indigestion. What you will hear in the minutes ahead is not alarmism. It is a step-by-step translation of scientific observation into practical vigilance. I will take you into the clinic where the startled expression of a doctor leads to questions your pharmacist never asked, into the lab where markers and mechanisms explain why a substance that helps at physiological levels can hurt when misused, and into the lived experience of people like Maria who thought they were doing everything right. We will examine how a supplement can quietly alter blood chemistry, how it may interact with common cardiac medications, and why some over-the-counter formulas are simply not suitable for people with certain risk profiles. This chapter is the opening, a scene that sets the stakes. In the chapters that follow, we will unpack the science in clear language, show the studies that clinicians rely upon to make recommendations, and importantly, offer a set of concrete, medically grounded steps you can take to protect your heart without abandoning reasonable self-care. You will discover the warning signs physicians watch for, the simple blood tests that can reveal trouble, and the lifestyle changes that deliver far more consistent benefit than any single pill. Above all, you will learn how knowledge, specific, clinically informed knowledge, replaces fear with agency. For now, hold the image of Maria in your mind, a careful person, acting from love for herself and for those who depend on her, caught by surprise. That surprise is the hinge of this story. It is the moment when routine choices collide with complex physiology. It is also the moment where, with the right information and the right medical partnership, the trajectory can be changed. Every morning, millions of people around the world open their medicine cabinets and reach for a familiar bottle, a vitamin they have come to trust like an old friend. The label promises vitality, stronger bones, sharper memory, a healthy heart. The ritual feels safe, even virtuous. For many, it has become as natural as brushing their teeth. And yet, beneath this collective habit lies a deep misunderstanding of how the body actually works. A misunderstanding that can quietly turn wellness into risk. The problem begins with the assumption that vitamins behave like food, that if a small amount is good, then more must be better. But biology does not operate on slogans. It works on balance. Every cell in the human body depends on equilibrium between minerals, enzymes, hormones, and the nutrients that regulate them. When that balance tilts, even slightly, systems that have evolved over millions of years begin to misfire. A supplement meant to protect can begin to provoke inflammation. A tablet meant to strengthen immunity can interfere with your heart's rhythm. Think about this. The human body is not a simple container you fill with good things. It is an orchestra, and every nutrient plays a part. Vitamin D regulates calcium, but too much calcium stiffens arteries. Iron carries oxygen, but excess iron rusts tissues from the inside. Even the celebrated antioxidants, like vitamin E, can turn against you when the dose crosses a certain threshold, because free radicals, the very molecules we try to eliminate, also play a vital role in signaling the body's defense systems. Remove them entirely, and your natural checks and balances falter. This is why older adults, the audience I'm speaking to now, must be especially cautious. As we age, metabolism slows, kidney filtration declines, and the ability to clear excess substances from the blood diminishes. A dose that seemed harmless in your 30s can accumulate dangerously in your 60s. Moreover, many of you may already take medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes that interact with vitamins in complex ways. Certain nutrients can thin the blood, amplify the effects of anticoagulants, or interfere with beta blockers and statins. These interactions are subtle, but they are not rare. And here is where the story becomes more human. Many of these decisions are made out of care. A daughter buying supplements for her aging father, a retiree trying to stay strong for her grandchildren. The motivation is love. But love, when mixed with misinformation, can lead to harm. Most advertising doesn't talk about these nuances because it's built to sell simplicity, not truth. You're told that vitamins are natural and therefore safe. Yet, as every doctor knows, the natural world contains both remedies and poisons, and the difference is often dosage. By the end of this chapter, you should begin to sense the outline of the danger. The well-intentioned public, driven by decades of marketing, has created a silent epidemic of oversupplementation. People are not overdosing in dramatic fashion. They are slowly nudging their physiology into imbalance. And the heart, a tireless muscle that depends on delicate electrical and chemical harmony, is often the first organ to feel the consequences. In the next chapter, we will reveal the specific vitamin that has been at the center of this growing concern, a nutrient once hailed as a shield against heart disease that, when misused, has been linked in multiple studies to an increased risk of cardiac events. But before we go there, I want to remind you, this story is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to inform you. Knowledge is the most powerful form of prevention. The same awareness that helps you recognize danger will also guide you toward the safe and balanced way to nourish your body. For years, doctors believed that certain antioxidants, particularly vitamin E, could protect the heart by reducing oxidative stress, the chemical wear and tear thought to underlie many chronic diseases. The theory made sense. Free radicals damage cells, antioxidants neutralize them. Therefore, more antioxidants should mean less damage. But as scientists began to test that logic in large clinical trials, something unexpected happened. Instead of protecting the heart, high doses of vitamin E appeared to do the opposite. In one of the most cited studies, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, participants who took daily doses far above the recommended amount showed a higher incidence of heart failure and increased mortality from all causes compared to those who didn't supplement. The reason? Vitamin E, in excessive quantities, doesn't just block harmful oxidation, it also blocks vital chemical signals that your body needs to heal and regulate blood flow. In effect, it interferes with your natural defense system. At the cellular level, vitamin E affects the way platelets, the cells that help your blood clot, stick together. Too much of it can thin your blood excessively, increasing the risk of internal bleeding or, paradoxically, microclots that strain the heart. In individuals who already take medications like aspirin, clopidogrel, or warfarin, this combination becomes particularly dangerous. The liver, tasked with filtering and storing nutrients, can also become overwhelmed, especially in people over 50, whose detoxification capacity naturally declines with age. It's not only vitamin E. Other nutrients, when taken without medical supervision, can lead to similar outcomes. Oversupplementation of calcium can calcify arteries. Too much iron can oxidize cholesterol particles, promoting plaque buildup. But vitamin E stands out because it was once considered a universal protector, the heart's vitamin. The scientific reversal of that belief was profound, and yet many supplement companies continue to market it as if the old myth were still true. Imagine now that same doctor, the one who looked at Maria's test results, explaining what he found. Her blood work showed unusually high levels of vitamin E, levels only achievable through prolonged supplementation. Her cholesterol was stable, her diet reasonable, but her heart rhythm showed irregularities. When the supplement was discontinued and her nutrient levels normalized, her cardiac markers improved within months. It was not magic, it was physiology returning to balance. This discovery has forced many in the medical field to reconsider the way we communicate about good nutrients. The truth is that every compound, even water, even oxygen, can become harmful in excess. Vitamins are no exception. The body evolved to extract what it needs from food, in forms and ratios perfectly tuned to our metabolism. When we disrupt that balance through synthetic concentrated doses, we bypass nature's safety mechanisms. At this point in the video, if you're finding this information valuable and you care about your long-term health, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Here, we explore the science behind the habits that shape your well-being, always with the goal of helping you live longer, stronger, and more informed. Your subscription helps us reach more people who, like you, deserve to know the truth behind modern health myths. Returning to our story, the shock isn't that vitamin E can be harmful. The shock is how few people know it. Despite decades of research, many still believe that a high-dose antioxidant will cleanse their arteries or boost circulation overnight. In reality, these same megadoses can suppress the immune response, destabilize the heart's electrical system, and in older adults, contribute to the very condition they're trying to prevent. As we continue, you'll learn what happens inside the body when these supplements accumulate, how the bloodstream thickens or thins, how arteries stiffen, and how the heart struggles to maintain its rhythm. Understanding these mechanisms is the key to reversing the trend and returning to what truly protects your heart: balance, awareness, and partnership with your healthcare provider. Let's step inside the body for a moment, where the story becomes far more vivid and precise. Picture your bloodstream as a flowing river, a delicate system of movement and balance. Every vitamin molecule that enters this river interacts with enzymes, hormones, and lipids, setting off reactions that keep your heart pumping steadily. Now imagine that river beginning to thicken, the flow slowing down, the banks, your arteries, gradually stiffening as the body tries to adapt to the overload. That is what happens when supplementation crosses the invisible line between support and excess. In the case of vitamin E, the nutrient is fat-soluble, which means it doesn't dissolve in water and can't be easily excreted through urine like vitamin C. Instead, it builds up in fatty tissues and the liver. With time, that accumulation begins to interfere with the body's natural oxidative processes, the very processes that keep your cardiovascular system functioning properly. While the right amount of vitamin E neutralizes harmful free radicals, an excessive amount suppresses the controlled oxidative reactions that your cells actually need to trigger repair. This imbalance confuses the system. The arteries, constantly exposed to this chemical distortion, may respond with inflammation. Inflammation is the silent architect of heart disease. It thickens arterial walls, traps cholesterol, and reduces elasticity. The blood, once fluid and efficient, becomes sluggish. Oxygen delivery falters. The heart must beat harder to maintain the same circulation. Over time, this sustained effort wears down the muscle itself, setting the stage for arrhythmias or heart failure. It is not an overnight catastrophe. but rather a slow erosion of balance, one unnoticed dose at a time. This process also disrupts the body's clotting mechanism. Platelets, which are supposed to gather at the site of an injury, begin to misbehave. Some fail to respond when needed, while others cluster unpredictably, forming tiny clots that may not cause pain, but quietly burden the heart. In someone taking anticoagulant medication, the effect can be magnified dangerously. This is why cardiologists often emphasize moderation and monitoring. They understand that chemistry inside the human body is never static. It shifts with age, diet, hydration, stress, and even sleep. And there are signs, subtle, early warnings, that many dismiss as age or fatigue. Slight dizziness when standing, tingling in the hands, or a sense of heaviness in the chest. These are not random sensations. They are whispers from a system trying to regain its equilibrium. The tragedy is that most people ignore them, believing that their daily vitamin regimen is protecting them. If you're listening to this and thinking about your own habits, take this as a moment of reflection, not fear. The goal here is awareness. Understanding what happens inside your body empowers you to make better decisions. The solution is not to abandon supplementation altogether, but to bring it under the guidance of knowledge, to know your numbers, your diet, and your real needs. Because once you understand that every capsule you swallow participates in a conversation with your biology, you begin to realize how important it is to speak the same language as your body. The heart doesn't shout, it whispers. And when we listen, it rewards us with decades of steady rhythm. If there is one illusion that has shaped the supplement industry more than any other, it is this: that anything labeled natural must be harmless. The word itself carries a kind of halo, soft, comforting, trustworthy. It evokes images of green fields and sunlight, not laboratories and chemical reactions. And yet, natural is a marketing term, not a scientific one. Poison ivy is natural. Arsenic is natural. Even snake venom is natural. And still, no one would call them safe. The truth is that most of the vitamins sold on store shelves are not extracted from plants or fruits at all. They are synthesized in industrial facilities, designed to mimic molecular structures found in nature. That does not make them bad, but it does make them different. The body recognizes these compounds based on shape and function, but their behavior in the bloodstream depends on context. What you eat, how much you move, your genetics, your liver function, and even the time of day you take them. When the context is ignored, the equation changes, and natural becomes irrelevant. The supplement industry thrives on this confusion. Over the last 3 decades, it has grown into a global market worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The imagery in its advertisements is always the same: smiling seniors jogging on the beach, holding hands, defying age. The fine print, when it exists, is easily overlooked. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, which means, in plain terms, that the safety and effectiveness of those products often rest on marketing claims, not medical consensus. This doesn't mean that all supplements are dangerous. Some are essential in specific situations, for people with diagnosed deficiencies, restrictive diets, or medical conditions that impair absorption. The danger arises when they are taken preventively, in high doses, without proper evaluation. The heart does not need abundance, it needs precision. A body overloaded with one nutrient often becomes deficient in another. It is a cascade effect. Excess vitamin E depletes vitamin K. Too much calcium can block magnesium. An overdose of vitamin D can elevate calcium to toxic levels. Consider how many people even now take heart-protecting supplements because they saw an online ad, a celebrity endorsement, or a neighbor's recommendation. They trust the label more than they trust their own physiology. But your body does not read labels, it reads signals, electrical, chemical, and hormonal. And when those signals become distorted, disease finds opportunity. So the next time you pick up a bottle that promises miracles, pause. Ask questions that marketers never expect you to ask. What does the research actually say? What happens in the long term? Has my doctor measured whether I truly need this? The greatest act of self-care is not consuming more, but understanding more. Every person who learns to question the myth of safe vitamins moves closer to genuine health, the kind that does not come from a capsule but from clarity. When cardiologists talk about prevention, they rarely begin with supplements. They begin with balance, blood pressure, cholesterol ratios, sleep, hydration, and emotional stability. Yet over the last decade, they've had to add a new conversation to their checklist: supplement safety. The issue has grown too significant to ignore. What used to be a fringe concern has become a pattern showing up again and again in clinical practice. Physicians from the American Heart Association, the Mayo Clinic, and universities across Europe have all voiced a similar warning. Do not take high-dose vitamins without medical supervision. Studies have revealed that certain antioxidants like vitamin E, vitamin A, and beta-carotene, when taken in excess, can raise the risk of heart disease rather than lower it. Calcium supplements, once widely recommended for bone health, are now prescribed more cautiously because they can harden arteries when not balanced with magnesium and vitamin K2. Doctors are not against supplementation. They're against blind supplementation. They see how each nutrient affects more than one system. They've watched patients combine multiple formulas, unaware that each capsule contributes to a cumulative overdose. The challenge is that the signs of toxicity rarely appear immediately. It's not like taking a pill and feeling pain. It's a gradual shift, small increases in blood pressure, subtle changes in liver enzymes, slight irregularities in heartbeat, changes that seem benign until suddenly they're not. In hospitals, cardiologists often see older adults arriving with unexplained palpitations, elevated calcium scores, or fatigue that doesn't match their lab results. When their supplement list is reviewed, the picture becomes clear. What was meant to help had, over time, overloaded the body's regulatory systems. The medical community now encourages a more individualized approach. Before taking any supplement, patients are advised to measure their baseline levels through simple blood tests. These numbers tell a story. They reveal what your body truly needs, what it already has enough of, and what could cause harm if added unnecessarily. For instance, most adults who eat a balanced diet rich in nuts, seeds, and leafy greens already receive adequate vitamin E. Supplementing it on top of that intake often pushes levels into excess. Doctors also emphasize something we rarely hear in advertisements. The body is a closed system, not an open sink. Every substance you ingest must be processed by organs that have limits: your liver, kidneys, and heart. They work tirelessly, but they are not infinite. Respecting those limits is not fear, it's wisdom. It's how you ensure that the choices you make today don't become the causes of tomorrow's illness. And this leads to an essential truth. Good health is not achieved through single ingredients. It's a harmony of behaviors: diet, movement, rest, mindset, and periodic checkups. Supplements can play a role, but only as supporting actors, never as the main character. The hero of your story is your own awareness. So how do you protect your heart without falling into the trap of over-supplementation? The answer lies in returning to balance, the word that medicine and nature both respect. Start with real food, because the body absorbs nutrients differently from food than it does from pills. Nuts like almonds and sunflower seeds contain vitamin E in quantities the body can handle. Leafy greens provide magnesium and potassium that support healthy blood pressure. Oily fish like salmon supply omega-3 fatty acids that reduce inflammation naturally. No synthetic megadose required. Then, work with your doctor. Ask for a nutrient panel, especially if you're over 50 or taking medications. Learn where you truly stand. If you're deficient, targeted supplementation can help, but the goal is always to restore balance, not exceed it. Remember, precision is power. Next, support your heart with habits that cost nothing. Walking 30 minutes a day, drinking water throughout the day, managing stress through deep breathing or meditation, sleeping 7 to 8 hours nightly. These are not cliches. They are the foundation of cardiovascular resilience. Finally, simplify your shelf. You don't need 10 bottles promising miracles. What your heart truly needs is consistency, moderation, and awareness. Review every label, every dose, every claim. If a supplement claims to cure or transform overnight, walk away. Healing is a rhythm, not a race. By doing this, you reclaim control over your own health, not by fearing vitamins, but by understanding them. The same nutrient that harms in excess can heal in balance. It's not the molecule that decides, it's the measure. There's a quiet revolution happening among people who've chosen to question the old narratives of health. They're turning away from miracle solutions and returning to reason. They're learning that health isn't something you buy, it's something you build. This new mindset begins with humility, recognizing that the human body is complex and that no single pill can replace the intricate wisdom of nature. It continues with curiosity, asking, why am I taking this? What evidence supports it? And it matures into discipline, the kind that values prevention over correction, lifestyle over shortcuts. If you've watched this far, it means you're part of that change. You've chosen understanding over impulse. That choice alone already sets you apart. Because the truth is, most health problems in modern life are not caused by a lack of products, but by a lack of attention. Attention to what our bodies are trying to tell us, to what science has already revealed, and to how easily good intentions can be distorted by misinformation. You don't need to live in fear of supplements. You just need to live in dialogue with your health. Ask questions, seek medical advice, prioritize food, movement, and rest before anything else. These are the real foundations of long life, the ones proven over centuries, not invented in marketing campaigns. Let's return one last time to Maria, the woman whose story opened this discussion. Months after discontinuing her supplement and following her doctor's new plan, her energy returned. Her heart rhythm stabilized. The anxiety she once felt, the subtle racing of her pulse, faded. When her next checkup arrived, her cardiologist smiled. "Your heart's calm again," he said. Her relief wasn't just medical. It was emotional. She had learned something profound. Health is not about doing more. It's about doing what's right. She realized that trusting her body meant listening to it, not overriding it with excess. This lesson belongs to all of us. Behind every bottle, every advertisement, there is a simple truth waiting to be rediscovered. Your body already knows what it needs. You just have to give it the chance to find equilibrium. So tonight, when you look at your supplements, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself if each one has a clear purpose, a measured dose, and a medical reason. If not, maybe it's time to simplify. Let your heart, both the physical and the symbolic one, guide you toward balance. And if you found this video helpful, consider sharing it with someone you care about, because information like this can truly save lives. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and stay with us as we continue to uncover the real science of wellness, not the myths, but the truths that help you live longer, live wiser, and live in peace with your own body. Your heart is not asking for more. It's asking for understanding. Listen closely, and it will thank you with every beat.